Mike Davis, do we have you?
I think we do. Sorry about that, Jack.
No, it's okay. Hey, I was just saying that we should create something called the Victims of 46 Foundation, and the Victims of 46 Foundation can exist for the Jan 6ers and the pro-lifers and people who were kicked out of the military over the vaccine and all the other types of victims of the 46 administration, and exist as a foundation to, number one, raise funds for them, but also to run the lawsuits. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea, Jack, and I also think that these victims need to start bringing civil lawsuits against these bad actors for violating their civil rights. And also, when the Trump 47 Justice Department gets put in place starting on January 20th at noon, there's actually a fund at the Justice Department that the Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and the other Trump appointees can use to compensate these victims of this Biden lawfare, this unprecedented lawfare, this political persecution by the Biden Justice Department.
That's exactly right. We're going to go to a quick break here, but I want to give Mike Davis his due because, Mike, look, we can come up with the ideas. We understand what the direction is, but that's why we have Mike Davis. That's why we have the Article 3 project that's going to be on the outside. But to maintain that voice, to maintain that professional, but also knowledgeable voice about what direction that we should be taking things in. Folks, we have finally done it. We've climbed up to the highest mountain from the depths of the deepest valley. And oh, by the way, we're not going to let anyone knock us off this mountain. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, Jack Posobiec back live. Human Events Daily. A snowy, icy Washington, D.C., but that's okay because our hearts are warm with the love of patriotism, the love of nation, the love of our fellow American. And someone else who's known for his big, warm heart is Mike Davis. Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. When you think of Mike Davis, you think of a big, warm heart. I agree.
You do. When I think of Mike Davis, I think of that scene in The Grinch when his heart grows 3 sizes. It's basically like that. It's basically like that every day, especially on a January 6th, where Kamala Harris has to certify the votes of her successors, J.D. Vance and Donald J. Trump. But Davis, look, we could sit here and we could celebrate and we could pop the champagne, but I don't really feel that way. I feel, and people keep asking this question about retribution. I say, okay, retribution. That's your guys' word. But I have a word that I'd like to talk about, and it's called restitution. What can you tell us about restitution, Mike?
Yeah, restitution is where you make the victims whole. And we have a lot of victims of this Biden lawfare and election interference, including President Trump, his top aides, Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, who went to prison after asserting constitutional executive privilege going back 250 years to George Washington. 1,000 people who Matthew Graves and the rest of the Biden Justice Department prosecuted for January 6th 4 years ago. They're still hunting them down. Parents who were targeted by the Biden FBI for raising concerns about gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in their kids' bathrooms. Christians being charged under the Federal FACE Act and thrown in prison, including a 75-year-old Christian who was praying at an abortion clinic, while the Biden Justice Department gives amnesty to BLM and Antifa and Hamas and Planned Parenthood activists and trans terrorists who are targeting crisis pregnancy centers and Catholic churches. There has to be accountability for what has happened over the last 4 years. That accountability is going to start January 20th at noon. And I would say to these Biden operatives who waged this Republican-ending lawfare and election interference, lawyer up, because justice is coming and nobody is above the law. That's what you told us for the last 4 years, and you're about to get a big dose of restitution.
Look, and this is, folks, this is biblical. It is absolutely biblical. Luke 19, chapter 1. Luke 19, verses 1 to 10. Luke 19, verses 1 to 10. When Zacchaeus is up in the tree and And Jesus sees him. He says, come down from there. And he says, look, Lord, here I am. And now I give half my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. That's what we're talking about, folks. And then Jesus says to him, today salvation has come to this house because this man too is a son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. You want repentance? You want atonement? Well, guess what? That requires restitution. Restitution is absolutely required. It is biblical in the Old Testament and the New, and that's what we're talking about here. You don't just get to cheat people and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." You know, let's let bygones be bygones. While Liz Cheney and her family get to skip away while her pockets are dripping with the red blood of patriots, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, look what Liz Cheney did. There's pretty strong evidence that she obstructed justice through her witness tampering of Cassidy Hutchinson, their key January 6th witness for their bogus January 6th committee. And I would say to Liz Cheney, your daddy's not going to be able to save you this time. Your daddy has gotten you every job you've had in your life, going back to your days as a lifeguard. Your daddy couldn't save you when the voters of Wyoming threw you out of office, and your daddy's not going to be able to save you from the Trump 47 Justice Department for obstruction of justice, conspiracy, witness tampering, subornation of perjury, so many possible charges.
And this is a huge piece of it. You know, it's actually funny because I remember, man, when the Hutch first came out, Cassidy Hutchinson, I said, there's something up with this Hutch. We made her kind of a star here on the program. And of all the people who came up in the entire Jan 6 committee, the menagerie, the fiasco with a circus, I said, Cassidy Hutchinson, this is the weak link. This is clearly the weak link. This is the one who will not hold up under questioning. And it turns out that not only did she not hold up, she did so badly that even Liz Cheney, with her friend Alyssa Farah, by the way, of The View, had to come in and manipulate her testimony. So, Davis, just walk me through that very basic one a little bit here. The manipulation of testimony. This is suborning of perjury, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have Cassidy Hutchinson, who was a sworn witness before Congress, before the January 6th committee, and you have evidence in the form of these text messages where Liz Cheney, as a member of that committee, is trying to conspire with Cassidy for her to provide false testimony. That is witness tampering. That is obstruction of justice. That is conspiracy. That is perjury. That is subornation of perjury. So, Liz Cheney, lawyer up, honey. Your dad's not going to be able to save you.
Davis, let's talk going forward from there. When we look at retribution, we look at all of these various things. What is the role of Mike Davis over the next couple of years going to be?
I'm going to continue to run the Article 3 project. The reason I started the Article 3 project is because I saw during President Trump's first term there was a massive void on the right for an outside group that has the insider experience, but the outsider mindset and my fighting abilities. And so I started it after the Kavanaugh fight. We've been up and running for 5 years. We've been key on these judicial nominations, on lawfare, on election integrity, and now cabinet picks. And we're going to be with President Trump every step of the way, along with his team. We're going to help him pick judges in his second term. We're going to help him confirm those judges. We're going to work with Pam Bondi, his attorney general, and the rest of his legal team. President Trump came into office the first time. He had never run for office. He had never won office. I think he's learned his lesson from his first term. He's had 8 years to reflect on when he went in the first time. He's not gonna fall for the nonsense that they threw at him last time, like Russian collusion, crossfire hurricane, and the Article 3 project. Like we said, we're going to be with him every step of the way.
It's as simple as that. Look, we all remember that very early on in the Trump administration, the first one, right, the first administration, the 45 administration, It was even within the first week when General Flynn started getting jammed up by Strzok and these other individuals who came over to Joe Penka, who conducted this, they called it a defensive briefing, but it was actually a setup to try to get him to lie. They claimed that he lied. The FD 302 didn't actually support that. So just like the suborning of perjury, by the way, they had to rewrite the 302, which is the summary report given by the FBI agents, because Flynn didn't lie. But then, of course, it was Mike Pence who threw Flynn under the bus. Again, this all happened the very first week. The very first week of the first Trump administration. So this is why I explain to people, the first 100 days cannot be slow rolled. It needs to be shock and awe every single day. Use violence of action to achieve full spectrum total dominance. I'm talking announcements. I'm talking nominations. I'm talking appointments. It's got to be all of it, and it's got to be swiftly. And the firings, oh my gosh. Davis, explain to me, does it make sense to hold on people in places like the Department of Justice, the U.S. attorneys, the National Security Council, and all of these spots that were appointed by the Biden administration? Does it make any sense whatsoever in your mind?
No, not at all. We saw Biden didn't do it, so we should not do it. And we need to get rid of all of these career detailees to the National Security Council, to the Homeland Security Council, to the front office of the Attorney General's office, the Deputy Attorney General's office, all the assistant attorneys general, the FBI director's office, the deputy's office. We need to clean house. We need to bring our own people on board. President Trump won. He won with a mandate, 312 electoral votes, which the Congress just certified today. He has a clear mandate to govern, and he needs to govern.
It's really as simple as that, folks. Again, if you leave these people behind, let's think of some of the names who were leave behinds last time around. Alexander and Yevgeny Vindman, Eric Chamarella, all of these names who were holdovers from the previous administration. And we thought, oh, well, we're going to be reconciling and we're going to have a soft touch and we're going to have a light touch. Guess what? Those were all the James Comey, by the way. James Comey was a holdover from Obama until he was fired in May of 2017. So James Comey was a holdover even. Again, you cannot do this. If I have one message, it is that all the department heads, the entire NSC staff, the quote-unquote career officials, the DOJ, the U.S. attorneys, they've all got to go, because those are the people that were brought up during the Biden administration, or in many cases prior to that in the Obama administration. That's why this is important. That's why this matters. That's why you need to commit the violence of action to go in there and absolutely clean house. When we say clean house, we mean completely. I don't mean just the surface. I mean down into the roots of the house. Last minute, Mike Davis.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jack. We need to clean out at least the top three layers of the Justice Department, at least the top of the litigating division. So the career deputy assistant attorneys general, the career section chiefs, the career assistant chiefs at the FBI. You need to clean out the deputy director, the associate director, the assistant directors, including the assistant directors of the key field offices like the Washington field office. You need to go even lower than that. President Trump needs to bring in his own team, including his own team of career officials, to take over these posts.
It's really as simple as that, folks. It's really as simple as that. Mike Davis, where can people go to support the Article 3 project?
Thank you, Jack. Article3project.org. Article3project.org. You can donate, follow us on social media, and most importantly, take action, and particularly on these cabinet nominations.
Go there, support Davis, and we will fulfill the mandate. Come back.